Open the item. We are on discussion of proposed new 19 TAC Chapter 113, Text Essential Knowledge and Skills for Social Studies, Subchapter C, High School 113.52, Ethnic Studies, American Indian / Native Studies. It's on your board agenda on I-261. And
we do have public testimony.
Public testimony. So I'll have staff call on the testifiers.
Bob Whistler, followed by Lynette Aguero, Orlando Lara, and Kenneth Romer.
Hello again. My name is Robert Whistler. I'm the elected legislator representing the Texas Citizen Potawatomi Nation citizens that reside here in Texas. I was one of the 20 of 22 TEA participants in Work Group B to create an American Indian Native Studies ethics course. The current U.S. history classes taught in Texas schools have been designed and written primarily by descendants of the settlers that migrated to the U.S. Relative to Native American history, information on the 574 recognized nations is minimal at best and tends to have errors as well as omissions. I met this, as well as many of the college professors, teachers, plus others, including Native American individuals of full-blood Native American ancestry, and we collectively created the Grand Prairie Independent School District American Indian Native Studies course. Texas individuals are descendants of the intermarriage of Native American females to male settlers who migrated from Europe. The Grand Prairie ISD American Indian Ethnic course, as well as the course we created in Work Group E, included all of the areas of Native American history that we felt should be covered. The Grand Prairie group has been using their American Indian Native Studies course as an elective in 2021, 2022, and in 2023-24 are currently using the TEA Innovative Course approved version. Since last summer, our group has continued to work on the Grand Prairie course with TEA. This summer, TEA advised the Grand Prairie American Indian Native Studies course meets innovative course standards. Based upon my comments, I urge you to move forward approving the TEA American Indian Native Studies course with no changes, since as it was specifically designed and written for from a joint historical viewpoint, including descendants of both the European settlers and the Native Americans. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynette Aguero, the Social Studies Facilitator for Grand Prairie ISD. Thank you, Chairman Ellis and the rest of the board for this opportunity. I would like to urge the SBOE to move forward bringing the innovative course Ethnic Studies, American Indian Native Studies into text. This course was written by American Indian / Native community members, parents, educators, and college university professors. It has been vetted through TEA twice, through a Work Group E draft for text, and as an innovative course. In the 23-24 school year, Grand Prairie ISD is now in its third year of offering this highly beneficial course that expands students' elective choices. GPISD has a diverse student population with 67.9% of our students being Hispanic and under 1% American Indian. 49.3% of Texas students are Hispanic, and Texas has the fourth largest Native population in the United States. Many of our Hispanic students have Native roots, and this course provides new knowledge and perspectives for them as well as all Texas students. This course also helps foster a sense of belonging, enhancing our American Indian Native students' high school experience. Having actual text for a course makes it more likely that other districts will offer the course. Districts feel more confident with SBOE approval and investing the time in the course if they believe it is there to stay, unlike an innovative course which has limited time. Ethnic studies courses prepare students to better understand the many cultures of modern Texans. They are high interest and motivating courses for students that help them to be informed and empathetic citizens of one of the most diverse states in America. American Indian Native people are often thought of being people of the past, however, they are still here. Please help us correct misconceptions and create a more informed society by making the passage of this course into text a priority. Thank you.
Orlando Lara. Kenneth Romer.
I do not claim Native lineage, so why was I so delighted to be on this committee? For 3 generations, my family has worked with Native communities. I've worked at the Gallup Indian Community Center, part of a Harvard program, directed NEH seminars for high school teachers, co-edited the Cambridge Companion for Native American Literature, and advised the UTA State Student Native Group. My experiences convinced me of many advantages to our course. I'll just mention 4. Years ago, a Hopi student came to me excited because I included a Pueblo poet. For the first time, I read someone in a course who saw the world the way I do. He became engaged. For Native students, experiencing Native texts can help them to be better students. Second, I got tired of beginning every Native Lit course with Indians 101 week. The students were poorly prepared. I was not alone. Teachers in history, social work, anthropology, and sociology all had similar problems. Our course covers 7 areas, including economics and science. It'll help prepare students for many college classes. Third, after high school and college, it will help students to relate to Texas' diverse populations. With an understanding of Native history, and by association, other distinct communities, they can build friendships and develop career networks that might not have been able to before. Finally, our course continues Texas trends. Texas American Indian Heritage Day, the governor's recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, and it inspired national attention in Winds of Change, a STEM magazine, for its potential to help students. For that Hopi student who was so excited, and for Native and non-Native students' futures, our course can be life-changing in good ways. Thank you.
Hawana Huuni Townsley.
Greetings, and thank you for holding these open comments. I am Hawana Townsley, a citizen of the Comanche Nation. Quanah Parker and Wakiai are my great-grandparents. I've actively participated in creating this course since the first community meeting. I must acknowledge the contributions of my many fellow advocates and allies who, though unable to be here today, have poured their hearts into this course. Texas has one of the highest populations of American Indian Native people. This means a student who is a citizen or descendant of any of the 574 federally recognized tribes, or the 3 state-recognized tribes, or someone who has become detribalized can be sitting in a classroom right now, maybe still if they're still in class. My motivation for championing this cause stems from being a mother of 2 sons who attended our ISD pre-K through 12 and seeing the scant amount of content in their classes. The cultural tapestry There we go. Where was I? Sorry, don't count off time on me. The cultural tapestry of our state is rich and diverse, deserving our comprehensive representation. This curriculum is not merely a historical lens, it's a dynamic exploration of our thriving present. The range of American Indian Native cultures and traditions is so wide and varied that they deserve to be taught in a full course to foster understanding of the wide spectrum of differences and not look at us as people who only existed in the past. The standards that are written had to cover what can be taught in a year, and the cuts to content that we made to fit within that scope and to prepare the course for submission were at times painful for us. Thoughtful consideration has been given to make something that will engage students, and we hope it encourages them to be lifelong learners. This course stands today as the culmination of relentless refinement. It has had thousands of hours of editing and revising to get it to the innovative status. Starting from a grassroots call to the community, a group of dedicated people formed in support and for creation. Work Group E continued this process. Please move this course forward through the process to the fully approved TEKS course status without changing the voices represented within it. Thank you.
If we can get the 4 testifiers to come back to the microphone in case there's any questions from members. Ms. Hardy first.
I was trying to turn on my computer to make it talk. Usually I'll get in trouble for saying I'm not asking a question. I don't need to ask a question. I know how hard you guys have worked on this for years. And so I am so excited that this is the culmination of that hard work. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate all that you have done and your students and the school district and everything in making this possible. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. Little?
Just real quickly, I want to echo Ms. Hardy's thanks. I know, Lynette, you have really worked hard on it there in the Grand Prairie ISD, and just thank you to all of you for all the work that you put into it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Ditto on all of that. And I just wanted to ask, I know that this has been piloted in Grand Prairie. Can somebody speak to how many students have come through the program over the last 3 years of like working really hard? And I don't mean to put you on the spot. If you don't have all those numbers, it's totally fine. But I'm curious as to how many students this has already touched without having gone through our formal process. And then I don't know if it's too soon, but if it's not too soon to ask if you're seeing positive impact on core content areas as a result.
Okay, so I don't have the exact numbers in my mind, but each year we've had basically like 3 sections of American Indian Native Studies at 2 different high schools each year. And so we do survey the students each year, and they are having a positive, the courses having a positive impact. Students, we have Native students that are like, thank you for recognizing us. We always felt like we didn't have a place, and this is a place where a space where we can express ourselves. And also just ethnic studies courses in general show increased attendance rate, increased interest, increased graduation rates, because students start to see themselves in history. And it's also good for all students because then they learn about other cultures that they see day to day, whether they recognize those cultures or not right away, in our Texas communities.
I really appreciate that. I too have gotten to witness the evolution of the work that's been involved in this, and I'm so excited that it's finally coming to fruition in this formal setting. And the one thing I would just ask is, as you know, God willing, this course passes, you all start looking at how it's impacting core content areas. I think it's helpful for academia to understand further. We know theoretically that this is it's positive for young people in terms of engagement, and so just to be able to add to academia and to the research behind all of that, I think is going to be really it'll be inspirational and encouraging for other communities that are looking to do the same thing.
Thank you.
Davis?
I would like to add one thing.
Please step closer to the microphone.
Sorry. The one thing I would like to add is that I have other tribal members that are, in other states. Most of the states that have this class in their state cover only the tribes that were in that state. The beauty of this course is that We collectively looked at all 574 federally recognized tribes, as well as the tribes that are state recognized tribes. Texas will be the first state, and TEA and you folks can be honored with the fact that you're going to have a class that covers a broad spectrum of everything versus just what's pertinent to your own state. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just add, I love that. I remember as part of the conversation early on, even nomenclature, the use of what terms as y'all were naming the course was incredibly thoughtful because y'all were trying to be all inclusive. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I mean, I can't thank y'all enough for the work you've done over years to bring this to your students. And I've heard nothing but positive feedback from parents in Grand Prairie ISD about the course. So I thank you so much. Some of my colleagues are fairly new, so they haven't had a chance to hear about all of those community conversations and the way all those different tribal nations came together to build a foundation for the course. So can you spend just a little time telling us about those community convenings and you know, what came from it?
Sure. So February 8th of 2020, well, actually, let me back up to, I met with our American Indian program coordinator in our district, Monica Smith. And then also she, through being the American Indian Education Program Coordinator, she had contacts with community members, Native community members. So she also, we got a committee together to plan for a conversation event, and it included Peggy Larney, who's Choctaw, who is part of American Indian Heritage Day in Texas, and Dr. Scott Langston from TCU. And so we planned a conversation event, and we invited community members, and we had people come from across Texas, from Oklahoma also, because, you know, in the North Texas area, we're not too far. We also had people come from San Antonio. We've had people, you know, from different areas of Texas, as well as even someone from California. And so we basically, I kind of gave a little spiel about how our standards work and our strands in social studies, and then asked questions of the people that attended and put them in groups and asked, you know, what do you want students to know about Native Americans, and just kind of a general question. And so they had time in their groups, and they put it on chart paper, and they had time to speak and tell what their group came up with. And then we had lunch and a speaker, and then we had other questions that were based on our strands and some additional questions also. And then, so every group had a different question that they worked on. And then again, they talked and worked in groups, and wrote on chart paper, then shared out on a microphone. And so with that community gathering, that's where we got our ideas for the content for the course. And so we kind of gathered those into big ideas that kind of drove the course. And then from that event, I had asked if there were people interested in working on a committee to help develop standards for a course. And so then with that, then COVID hit. Okay, because that was February 2020. We had the big meeting. Thank goodness we got that done before COVID hit. COVID hit, and then we went to Zoom meetings. So we were doing monthly Zoom meetings, working on standards, and we we've been doing it for about over 3.5 years now. And so we ended up kind of with a core group that has stuck with us through the end, that are still, you know, we're still working on things for the course, and, you know, we're happy to share it with everybody. And so then the course was picked up by TEA for work group draft E. So they used that and built work group draft E, and then we submitted for an innovative course and got that approval learned about that approval this summer.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Hickman, you already talked. Thank you, Ms. Aguero. I want to follow up on that. Mr. Whistler, good to see you again. Ms. Aguero, the local course, you have standards, or I'll call them TEKs, but they're not TEKs, local TEKs. And then the work group E developed TEKs. Then the innovative course is going to have TEKs. Can you kind of talk through, are those all the same? Are they similar?
It started with our initial course, and then when it went to work group draftee, we've had our teacher, Kimberly Rafalski, and Bob was on the committee, Bob Whistler, and another one of our committee members was also on that work group, Draft E group. And so they used our course to build it for work group Draft E version. And then we took that work group Draft E version, submitted it to TEA, and then we still did edits and refinements to the innovative course version. So it's like kind of where it started at one point and went to this version, and now is the innovative course version, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And Mr. Chairman, maybe a question for you, or I don't know if this goes to Dr. Young's committee. Will we then get that innovative course version? Are we doing discussion, first reading, second reading, kind of for an innovative course? I'm not sure. Maybe we can postpone that question.
Dr. Young, do you want to, or staff, do you have that answer, Dr. Young, or you want to call on staff? You got staff to come.
Yes, so the purpose of this item today is for the board to indicate to us what your next steps, what your wishes are related to next steps for an innovative course. I can tell you what the boards have done for the last two ethnic studies that were adopted into the TEKS. We were directed by the board, staff was directed by the board to develop a draft for the board's consideration using the approved innovative courses as a starting point.
And that would, if that's the goal to have what happened in the previous courses, you need that direction.
Whatever direction the board wishes us to follow, you will just need to have that conversation today.
But if that's the goal, then that would be the direction staff would need.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Hardy?
I want to ask y'all a question. In the social studies TEKS, we have the Navajo code talkers. Did you know that they were not the first code talkers? Yes. I did not know that until the other day. Is it the Choctaw? And it was World War I, not World War II.
World War I, there were 22 nations that had code talkers.
You're going to lose this game of Jeopardy here, Ms. Hardy.
But the story, they actually showed the Choctaw ones that were doing the code talking, and I thought, oh, I'm so embarrassed because, we thought we were doing something right when we did the Navajo, and you heard a lot about it on KERA and all that stuff, and it was always the Navajo, and I thought, but I think it must be the nature of the American Indians. No one made a big stink about it and said, wait, I didn't get my place in the sun or whatever, but I hope that you'll be teaching that, and I know that we'll be looking at that whenever we get ready to do our standards again for the history classes where that was found. But I was totally shocked. I did not know, and I thought, how did we all miss it? I mean, everybody missed it. The other thing I want to say is I know that it is a commitment for Lynette to have the time to work on this from the school district. And so I really want to thank your school board for supporting this and encouraging y'all to continue on with it. And I hope today we'll get this passed so you can get on with it.
Turn that microphone on, please.
The Code Talker program was kept top secret by our federal government because it literally was a weapon that was used against the opposite side. It took until 1984 for them to declassify that.
But they gave credit only to the Navajos.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they gave credit. The Navajos came forth and mentioned it, mainly because in 1944, the U.S. Marine Corps drafted 23 Navajos, and that was the area that came into light where it became evident to everybody. The rest of us by nature, we tend to be silent. We're not braggarts by any nation, and the fact that it's mentioned, we're very happy, but the Navajo Nation, is honored, but we also honor our own members that were code talkers. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Native American population, for as small as it is, has got the highest percentage of veterans and serving service per, when you compare how small the number of people are to the rest of the demographic, we have a warrior background and we serve. My mother was the first Comanche woman that was a Marine. And so we're there.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I know that I didn't know about it until 1984, which I read it in the paper and then started teaching it, but I didn't know the whole story, so I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
We've got more testifiers, right? Okay. Ms. Pickering?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Halito. My husband and children are citizens of the Choctaw Nation who travel under a U.S. passport. So this is something near and dear to my heart. Also, as a business owner in the Choctaw Nation, I understand the importance of reservation status, the McGirt decision, all of that. Are we going to tackle that in this course?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I would love to talk with y'all at some point. That is a huge change, especially when President Trump gave them reservation status before leaving office. That was a huge change also. So I have a couple of questions. So to Member Hardy, the Choctaw Cultural Center in Tuscaloosa does have a display and everything talking about the Choctaw Code Talkers from World War I. And so I have a couple of questions on the academic side of this course. So at what grade would a student take this course?
So it's a high school elective course, so 10 to 12.
Okay, and then if they took this course, what would it be in place of?
Well, it's an elective, so it's not in place of anything. They still have to do their required graduation courses. So it would count as one of their electives.
So it's just an addition to?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then do we have a copy of the course already?
It's on the TEA.
Yeah, Ms. Pickering,
Innovative
it's going to be distributed to you when staff presents the item, as soon as we finish with testimony.
Okay, excellent. Okay, wonderful, thank you. Thank you to your mom, thank you for her service.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I wondered, I'm not sure who could answer this question, maybe all of you, but is there a component to this course where students are able to go out, meet different people in the community, not just being in the classroom, experiential learning component?
Well, we welcome if they want to take field trips. For example, because we have this course, our students have been invited to the Cleburne powwow that takes place in April. So they're always welcome as soon as we know of events. Usually our committee will help.
Last week.
Yeah. So there are events that occur that our committee has been very vocal about, hey, you could bring your students. And so it could be a case where there's field trips, or even our committee members, or hopefully districts would have local community members they could build relationships with, and they could come even into their classrooms and talk about their experiences.
Thank you.
Maria de Los Angeles de Santos Quesada, followed by Lena Martinez Wolfinger, Abigail Nájera, and Cassandra Lux.
Okay, perfect. Buenas tardes. You will receive my testimony. What I'm going to speak on is the first page, and the other 3 pages, I believe, is a longer version of my testimony. So here we go. I am a member of the core organizing team of Ethnic Studies Network of Texas, an organization dedicated to making ethnic studies courses more available in Texas K-12 schools and higher education. Ethnic studies allows students to develop healthy academic and cultural identities that mutually reinforce each other. Statistical research by D. Cabrera and other scholars has found that taking ethnic studies courses improves student grades and attendance, and that this benefits translate into STEM classes. They found that this impact is especially profound among students who were considered struggling or low performing. The Grand Prairie ISD courses data also shows that after taking the American Indian Native Studies course, students felt more connected and better able to emphasize with each other, an ability that is crucial to fostering the spirit of unity that our country so desperately needs. The INS course has been refined over a collaborative 3-year process and has been or is in the process of being adopted by Robstown ISD, Fort Worth ISD, and several other districts. The Texas SBOE was the first state board to adopt high school level Mexican American and African American studies courses in 2018 and 2020. Since then, course enrollment for both classes has grown from 6,500 students to nearly 18,000 students in 2022 and 2023. Simply put, students want to take ethnic studies. Given the readiness of the INS course, we offer the following recommendations. Move the INS course forward to hold its first hearing in January of 2024. Retain the course's fidelity to field of American Indian Native Studies, an interdisciplinary field that centers the scholarship, culture, and knowledge of Native communities. Strongly consider the request made by several tribal councils and organizations to approve the course without further changes for statewide adoption next year. The course is rigorous, appropriate, and ready to teach. Approving the course in American Indian Native Studies will be a historic achievement for Texas, something that we can all be proud of, a ray of light in a dark and confusing political time. We encourage you to keep the process moving forward in spirits of trust, unity, and care. Thank you so much.
Lena Martinez Wolfinger.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Lena Martinez Wolfinger, and it's been my privilege to work with the writers of this course since 2020. While there are many valuable things that I could say about this course, I want to spend my time today highlighting an aspect that might not be apparent or familiar to everyone here. Specifically, I'd like to talk about detribalized Texans and the impact of positive identity formation on civic engagement. Like my parents, grandparents, and ancestors before them, I grew up in Texas. I grew up in rural Lee County schools and graduated from the suburbs of Williamson County before heading to Dartmouth for undergrad and then to law school, but always coming home to Central Texas. If you had asked me back in grade school what my race was, I would have said Latina. When my white peers told me that I wasn't like the others, I'd go as far as calling myself Mexican, the people they disparaged, even while knowing that my family had no transition story of coming to Texas. The truth is that we've always been here. Yet, what we were taught in Texas schools was that the Indians had all been killed, a sort of sad ending for a noble people. So what was I then? At Dartmouth, I had the chance to be in community with Native Americans and learn that my own family practices and culture aligned with theirs. In New Zealand, I shared my family's story and learned that outside of the world I grew up in, there was a term for folks like me, detribalized, folks who didn't know their tribe, but not because they had chosen to abandon it or to assimilate. Exposure to this knowledge and relationships was life-changing. Personally, it made me a stronger leader with a deeper understanding of the roots of my care for community, justice, and participation. I believe the same will be true not only for other young detribalized Texans, but also for students of all races whose education is enriched by exposure to new epistemologies and worldviews. With this in mind, I hope that you'll consider moving this course forward as is. Thank you.
Abigail Nahera.
Hi, my name is Abigail Nahera. I'm a sophomore at Grand Prairie High School in Grand Prairie, Texas. I am taking American Indian Native Studies, and I would like to tell you why I think it's an important course for students in Texas to take. Texas has a diverse and historical rich history. A state like ours needs a class like this. In this course, we learn different things about indigenous cultures, their histories, and contributions. It not only enriches our understanding of the past, but it also shapes a more inclusive and equitable future. The history of Native Americans in the United States is marked by numerous injustices, including forced removals, land seizures, and discrimination. A comprehensive study of these histories is essential to acknowledge and rectify these past wrongs. By learning about these injustices, we can work towards reconciliation and respect. However, this is not a history class about the past. It also addresses present-day issues facing Indigenous communities throughout the United States. Understanding the current challenges such as access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunities is crucial for creating policies and promote equity and well-being. In addition, Native Americans have significantly influenced our social, cultural, and economic landscape. Their influence is evident in every aspect of our lives, from agriculture to the arts. The arts and other cultural aspects of this course are some of my favorite parts of the class. Learning about different Indigenous cultures has helped me become more aware of my own culture. For an example, we learned how Indigenous cultures connect art with storytelling. For one assignment, we wrote stories and created storyteller dolls based on the traditions of the Pueblo peoples. Just doing the research for that project and taking more interest in my own culture and traditions made me realize just how similar all humans are. No matter what culture someone belongs to, we're all connected by traditions. Being in a class like this has humbled me. It made me realize how each individual on this planet has their own story, and your story might be one of billions, but each individual one is just as important as the rest. Finally, I believe including American Indian Native Studies in Texas educational curriculum empowers Native and non-Native students. It broadens our perspectives and nurtures cultural sensitivity and fosters a sense of unity among all Texans. Thank you.
Cassandra Lux.
Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Lux, and I'm a student at the Grand Prairie Fine Arts Academy. History, by definition, is a branch of knowledge that records and explains past events. While history can preserve past events through knowledge, it can also erase lifetimes of nations by keeping generations uneducated. As a student with Native American family members, I was raised without access to my family history. This class gives me the opportunity to grasp Native culture and gain knowledge that is otherwise hidden by ignorance. Native American Indian Studies gives students access to history that is not available in other history classes. Of all the mandatory high school social studies courses, none of them give the history where natives were anything more than a burden to America. Through this class, I am able to learn the other side of American history, where colonists were not depicted as a godsend who created America for their people. There were already people there. Before being enrolled in this class, I was ignorant to the hardships that natives faced in order to claim their heritage and gain recognition from the federal government. While the class has only been in session for just over 13 weeks, the topics we have covered and topics we will explore later in the year have the possibility of preventing Native American history from becoming completely erased by time. Unlike other social studies courses, Native American Indian Studies doesn't have a textbook written or approved by the Texas School Board of Education. The standards are written by local Native tribes who have gained their knowledge from oral history, Native resources, and their connection to their culture, who wish to share and educate the next generations. The information and resources we use during this class are directly from Native accounts. When we learn about United States history, we read textbooks written from one point of view. When we learn about Native American history, we read documents and watch videos of Natives describing their experiences and how they are affected both positively and negatively by their history. This class should be offered throughout Texas to foster the education of generations to come, so that while blood quantum may decrease Native population, their history will live on through the small population who has the choice to become a capsule of knowledge. Without the option of learning Native history, its significance will cease to exist. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will ask the four testifiers to come back to the microphone in case there's any questions from members. Members, any questions for this group? Ms. Davis?
I have questions for the students. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming. Your testimony was very, very powerful. And we always decide on these standards thinking that we want to do the best for students. So to see that you guys are learning so much and you're getting so much, you know, in history that you're applying to other things, that really lets me know this course is really, really important to you. But I would like to know, what are some of the things that you've learned in the class that you've been able to apply to your other classes to help you be successful?
I think some of the most important things I've learned so far is we just have gone over the traditions of totem poles, and they really let me see how the different animals in any story that we read in English or in other classes really have a definition of like what they mean, and they're not just simply a choice that an author made. They have real like definition.
I'd say that traditions, from what I've learned, I'd say traditions in which people have helped connect them all together. As much as we can say that we're all different from everybody, we're all connected in one way or another. And I think that's just a really beautiful thing to carry on through life, knowing that even though we may look different, speak different, or go into different things, we're all humans and we're all connected by one thing.
Ms. Perez Diaz?
Thank you, Chair. Very quickly, so I am wondering, this is also a question for the students, either one of you, I think it was Cassandra, spoke to primary sources. So not having textbooks sometimes, can be a challenge, but when you're hearing straight from the mouths of individuals who have this historic knowledge, I'm sure it's powerful. So can you, either one of the students, can you all share with me how you're applying what you're learning in your American Indian Native American Studies course to other courses and how that's impacted you?
So I'm currently a senior and I am not taking an English course. So I've just been reading a lot of books recently. And so as I am going through and learning about the differences in like this, I'm learning economics right now. And so as we're going through, I'm being able to see how there's differences and everything that's going on, but it all kind of connects back to the central idea. And so this course has really just opened my eyes to all the different things. I have Native American family members that I didn't know about. So through this course, I'm being able to see how their lives have changed because of different things that are going on, and I'm learning more information about it. Thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Pickering?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for the students, girls, if y'all come up. Y'all did an exceptional job. I know it's not easy testifying before us, and you really have done a fabulous job. But I was going to kind of ask kind of the same thing. Like, what's your favorite thing you've learned?
I definitely say blood quantum, and it's not for the reasons you think, because you can be as little as this or as little as that, but deep down, you know it, that you are still connected to your history. Whether it shows on blood or paper or not, it can still show to yourself that you are a part of your history. Your history is a part of you.
I would agree to that. I have Seminole family members who live up in Cattaraugus on a reservation, and before this I didn't really know anything about blood quantum. I thought that it was something you were just born with, but I also learned that you can fight for it also. It's not something that you're just born into. You can go in and you can look it up and you can find it and try and get yourself that clarity that, just because the federal government didn't give it to me at birth, I can still have it.
Yes, it's been very interesting. My family, we've been to 15 years of powwows now. And so I feel like I'm always learning something. Like the Europeans, you think of Native Americans, you think of them having horses, but learning that the Europeans brought horses to Native Americans, it's very interesting. And then, the Europeans didn't have tomatoes. That was the contribution from Native Americans to Europeans was tomatoes. So I don't know. I think it's very interesting. And I just love to see how it's forming what y'all believe and what you think. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Young?
Same sentiment. I just wanted to thank y'all for doing a great job. Did everyone have the opportunity to finish your testimony? Was anybody's unfinished? Everybody, okay. All right. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to finish it. Excellent testimony. Thank you, girls.
Any others? Before we dismiss, I want to speak to the students also, how thankful I am for you being here today. And I don't want you to feel, I don't want this to be minimized how important what you did by coming here today is. You give us a true representation and understanding of why we do this work. And I hope that you saw something. I think you may have just come here and thought, well, I'll just drive down there, we'll do a quick testimony. You probably saw a lot more today than you thought you might see today. So I hope you saw something today that inspired you in something we do in education, that maybe be a teacher involved in education, or to either participate in government or to be part of our government, because a big part of being a solution is showing up. So I want to thank you very much for being here. This is very meaningful to us to have you here, and I want to thank you for that. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, so as I mentioned a moment ago, this item provides the opportunity for the board to discuss the possibility of adding TEKS for an innovative, adding TEKS for an ethnic studies course in American Indian Native Studies. As a refresher for some of you who may be newer to the board has rules on innovative courses, and those rules specify that anytime an ethnic studies course is approved, then that as an innovative course, then the next step in the process is the course comes to the board. So at the last board meeting in August, September, we brought the innovative course to the Committee on Instruction, and the committee made the determination that we should bring it to the full board. So that's where we are. I also mentioned previously with the past 2 innovative courses in ethnic studies that have been approved, Mexican American Studies and then African American Studies. The board at that time directed TEA staff to go ahead and develop a draft of the TEKS using the applications for the innovative courses at a starting point. So really what we're looking for today is just some direction, some indication from the board. If it's the will of the board that we bring you draft TEKS for the course, then we would do that and present this item to you for first reading.
Members, any question on what our goal is or purpose is for this item here today, what we're trying to accomplish? Is there any feedback? Do we have the hand up? Let's go ahead. Yep. No, it's a discussion item.
So just as Ms. Martinez passes out to you the course description for the current innovative course, I'll just give you a little bit of background. It was approved by the Commissioner of Education in this summer. And so this is the first full year that the course is being offered as an innovative course. So we don't have any data on it yet, but you'll see the standards that were developed by the applicant, by Grand Prairie ISD, and submitted to us for this is what we ultimately approved.
So members, again, this is not a action item. So there's not a formal motion to make here, but this is a time to give staff any feedback on this. Not necessarily amendments or specific things, but generally any general concerns or questions or comments. And then I'll let the body know it's my intention to have this at first reading, unless we see significant objection otherwise. But at that point, the staff would come back with rule text at first reading in January. So members, is there any discussion to have with staff? Mr. Hickman?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Shelley, is this the same as work group E? Is this the same as the local standards? Kind of where did these come from?
Yes, so that you brought up a good point, Mr. Hickman, that I'll make sure to explain for all the board members. So last year when this board launched on the social studies text review, we convened, we asked the board, we knew that the course was, had been submitted to TEA as an innovative course. We brought that to the board, and the board directed us to convene a work group to develop TEKS for an innovative studies course in American Indian Native Studies. One was developed, but then when the board decided to go in a different direction with that TEKS review, they asked that we let the group behind the drafting of the course know that they should go the innovative course route. So this is not the work group E version. This innovative course is closer to, I think, and Lynette probably could speak to this better. It's probably closer to work group E than the original application. I'm looking at Lynette to either nod or shake her head. But they did make some adjustments to it because work group E had different strands. And so the innovative course that was submitted to us, we asked that they make some revisions to align with the current social studies strands. So it's a little hybrid, it's a little bit in between.
And one follow-up, has this gone to Dr. Young's Committee on Instruction?
We shared this with the Committee on Instruction at the last meeting, yes, sir.
Okay, and then Dr. Young,
Correct.
your committee sent it here?
They recommended that we bring it to the full board, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Shelley, are the other ethnic courses innovative courses?
They are no longer innovative courses. They were adopted into the TEAC. So that started first with Mexican American Studies. It was approved as an innovative course. And then a year or two later was approved as a text-based course. And then a couple of years after that, African American Studies followed the exact same process. Was first approved as innovative and then became a TEAC-based course.
Ms. Little to Mr. Francis.
And Shelley, aren't we also working on an Asian American?
My understanding is that there are a group of individuals who have developed an Asian American Studies course and are currently piloting it at a district, and I think it's Round Rock, right? Yes.
All right, okay, thank you.
And to follow up on that point, this goes back to our previous chair, Ms. Bohorich, when, I believe it was when we did the very first Mexican American Studies course. We had a discussion about how far does this board want to go as far as how many courses and how far down. And at that time, it's not binding, but just to give context, some historical context, it was these 4 courses, the 2 that are approved, the one that's before us today, and the one that Ms. Little. Those were the 4 that the board's intention at that point in time was, so that 4th course would complete the goal, I would say a goal of the board back from that time. Does that sound familiar?
I believe there's other, so the rules that were adopted at that time include other courses as well. I'm looking over at Monica. I believe there might be a women's studies course in that list, but I'm not 100% sure. No.
I think it was just those 4.
I think it might be islands, South Pacific.
Yeah,
It's
so
a-
it's Native American Studies, Latino Studies, African American Studies, and or Asian Pacific Islander Studies. So those were the areas that are specifically in the administrative rule.
Okay, so that's actually a rule the board adopted.
It is a rule the board adopted. It is in 74.27.
Okay, I thought that was just a stated goal, but it was an adopted rule.
It is a rule.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Francis.
Thank you, Chair. Hi. I was just wondering, knowledge and skills. So for each number under knowledge and skills, I see, I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, but it just looks a little bit weird. Just like a word saying culture. I know it's to identify what the student expectation is, but it seems weird because we don't write TEACs like this. So I guess, how would you propose this changing?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So typically all innovative courses, we use the exact same structure as TEACs. So there's a knowledge and skill statement followed by student expectation. So I'm not 100% sure I understand what you meant.
So
Do you
Mr.
understand?
Francis, I think you might be referring to the tagline. So we start out, so like it starts out with citizenship.
If you look on page 2, C1, you see that word culture?
Yeah, so that's a tagline. That is something that that you have not used consistently in your essential knowledge and skills, but does exist in for some subject areas. So you see it here, you see it in reading language arts. I'm not going to remember where else. So there's some places where you have, it's just a tagline that we use that's consistently used for the knowledge statements throughout a course or a subject. And that is the way that the other ethnic studies courses are written. I'm not sure if this is where you're going, but what we would typically do, assuming that we move forward, is we would develop rule text and make sure that it's consistent with the other 2 ethnic studies courses in terms of structure and format.
Sort of. it just looks odd to me because, as you said, we don't do it on all
Yeah.
peaks. So I was just wondering, I mean, I think the student expectation is clear. But again, it could be because I'm just not used to seeing it laid out like
You're
this.
probably, yeah, I think that's probably right. And I would just say unless something has changed, the board has tended to prefer consistency, and so we try to build in that consistency for you all. We would keep that language because it's already in the others, unless you decide you want to take it out of all 3 courses, in which case that would be a different, we would prepare a different item for your consideration for rulemaking.
Well, and I would add to that these are the same strands or taglines that are used through all your history courses in your current social studies TEKS.
So it's primarily for social studies type subjects.
Well, the taglines themselves are actually in every subject with the exception of CTE, which is why you haven't seen them, because you've only been looking at CTE, I think, during your time on the board, but it's not uncommon in other subject areas.
Okay, thanks.
Members, any other comments or directions, staff? Ms. Pickering?
Yes, Shelley, will this remain an elective if it's converted over?
Yes, ma'am. It wouldn't satisfy any other specific graduation requirement except for an elective.
Okay, and what grade or grades would it be offered in?
That would be up to this board because you could determine that in the TEKS that you adopt. I think the innovative course currently, I believe, is for grades 9 through 12.
No, it's, the innovative course is 10 through 12, but if you wanted to make it 9 through 12, you could do that when we bring you the rule text.
Do you know off the top of your head what the MAS and the AAS courses are?
I was just looking that up. Give me just a moment.
I'm being told it's 10 through 12.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion, Mr. Hickman?
Just follow up on the Asian Pacific. Have they applied to be an innovative course as well, or that's a local course?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The Asian Pacific course, have they applied to be an innovative course?
They have not yet applied. My understanding is that, well, so there's a requirement that all applicants pilot an innovative course before they submit an application, and they're in the process of piloting.
They're piloting now. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I think staff have the direction they need. It's my intention that this will be on our agenda for first reading, and I would ask staff to bring back rule text for that. Any other information you need? Or?
I just want to make sure that the intention is that we bring back rule text that is using this application as a starting point.
That's my understanding, and is there anything to the contrary? I'm not seeing, so.
All right, that's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, members, that completes that item.